Hi, this is Lisa Webster from Grand Scale Video Productions in McMurray, PA, and I am having a Save Your Photos event, and I wanted to reach out to Easy Photo Scan to get some of their great input.
Hey, Lisa, this is Rick.
Hi, Rick. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for calling us. I understand you're doing an event and you want to add photo scanning.
Absolutely.
Well, we call this kind of Let's Get Digital. So what I'm going to do, we'll walk over a few of the inside tips on hosting events and things that we've offered to folks in the past. Just as a little background, we have saved about a little over 250,000 photos and events over the last several years in a whole bunch of different venues. We do it all for free, and it's been all over the country. So we've run into a couple of things, and I'd be happy to share with you some ideas. You got to ask questions. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of go through the kinds of questions that we ask. I will tell you this, that sometimes we end up committing and then asking the questions. So sometimes we get our cart and our horse mixed up. It just seemed like a good idea at the time, if you understand what I mean, and we did it and we said fine. But at some point, whether it's before, during, or after you've committed to do this, you need to be asking these questions. They're kind of important so that you can frame what you're going to offer and have a really good experience for not only the folks that come, but for you too. So if it's okay, I'm going to ask my questions through you, and we'll kind of walk through. The first question that we always ask is kind of, why are you doing this? So I'll ask you, why are you doing it?
I would like to have a public outreach to the community to have them realize the importance of saving their photos, and I wanted to be able to bring an event to my community and to have other participants work with me as well. And I know that this is an outreach that is going on around the world with Save Your Events, and I really wanted to be involved.
Okay. Wow, you've got it nailed, and I think that's perfect. Understanding why, and in kind of those big overall terms, is really the best starting point that we've been able to find. And it sounds like you've got all the right motivations, and you probably don't have too many unrealistic expectations out of the thing. You kind of feel like you're going to be part of a bigger scope, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So the next question that we always ask is where? Where are you going to have this thing?
I am scheduled to have it at a local library here in my community.
That's perfect. Now, that leads me to a couple other things that you might want to think about when you're doing events or you're planning them. Is the where is important, because depending the actual location, there may be fire codes and things that you have to deal with, building codes, rules, and this type of thing. I know libraries are, especially if it's a public library, are very keen on not having a open event that is, one, charging to attend, and two, that is really a sales pitch in disguise. They don't want to get associated with their patrons feeling as though they're being preyed upon by a vendor. So that's very important to keep in mind. And so you want to understand those kind of rules of the road. Now, let me give you the contrast to this. We've had an opportunity to scan in like a local home show that had like 40,000 people that showed up to the home show. And I will tell you this, they want you to tell about your services. And in fact, they even give you an opportunity, some of these events give you an opportunity to get up on a stage and promote it to the folks. So it kind of depends. But the where is a very important point. And sounds like you've got a great venue. Libraries are awesome. So who, the first is, who do you think you're going to have from your side involved? Who do you think you might need to pull in to help you? And who do you think might be the folks that are going to attend?
I believe the who that would be helping me are some different participants that I've reached out to. I have a conservationist, a photographer, a framer, and also a representative for a permanent photo storage company.
Wow, perfect. And how about who do you think you're going to reach out to in the library? Have you had a chance to chat with anybody in the library and them give you a profile of the types of folks that might be coming by to participate in your event?
Since it is a sponsored library event, they will be reaching out to the public, which is great advertising for us. And I'm hoping that we'll get a cross-section of people that will be coming. Maybe an older generation that is looking to save their photos, maybe a younger generation that is looking to maybe make some special gifts or memorabilia for maybe family members, just a cross-section of people that may be coming.
Perfect. Well, you've got it covered, and those are the kinds of questions that you probably want to ask, and sometimes you have to do a little digging, and then we'll talk about it in a few minutes, that you don't always get who you think you do, and you get people that you didn't expect. But you've got a good handle on that point. So the next question that we ask is what? Now, the what is kind of a big question from a standpoint at a very high level. What do you expect to have happening during the event? And what types of things might you be offering or providing in addition to or on top of or in correlation with your photo scanning?
We expect to be registering people as they come in and inviting them to scan their photos, 50 photos. We will also be offering an option to look at permanent cloud storage. We will also have some different things for them to look at, such as photo books or slideshows, different ways that they can use those photos. We'll also have a framer that will be on board to share them great practices and tips with their photos, things that they might not be thinking of, and also a framer that is going to be doing custom frame work that will talk about his profession, and the conservationist will be talking about introducing conservation practices according to your photos. And we will also be hosting or giving a grand prize to any person that might be there. So we're going to create a lot of different points of interest throughout the room, which will give people a great time while I'm scanning. Then they can be talking to these different participants that will be in the room.
Wow, you got it planned. I like to call what you're having a three-ring circus.
Great.
You're going to have lots of things, so when people come and show up into your event, they're going to go, oh, wow, look, I want to see over here. Oh, I want to see over here. I want to see over there. Three-ring circuses are a lot of fun, but they can also be a little bit overwhelming. So one of the things that you want to think about probably as you're going through this what question is how you're going to organize that part, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But what focuses are you going to have and at what times? Meaning, are you going to have kind of a little nook for people to sit and take a 5 or 10 minutes or 15 minutes to ask questions of the framer? Are they going to have to roam around the room? Are you bringing the event to them, or are they going to have to kind of find their answers out into the different stations? Either way is okay. Just make sure that you understand that as you work through it. But it sounds like you've got a lot of things going on. I would say one other thing. If you are in the library, you may want to ask the librarian to pull out all the stuff they have about photography and digital scrapbooking or scrap arts and crafts and those types of things. Put their books on display as well. It's a good way for them to buy in to the fact that in a library setting, there's a lot of resources there that they may have that your attendees may be interested in. Do you have a win?
Yes, we do. We will be offering the event on September 27th, which is a Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8:30.
So you have already addressed one of the things that is kind of very important is when do you think you get the draw? Sometimes they'll do them on a weekend. Weekends can be kind of tough, and man, I'll tell you, just take it from us, don't have an event at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning. People are not going to roll out of bed and knock down your doors when they've got a whole bunch of other family events going on. So evening events are great. Midday events, you'd be surprised depending on the who that you're going after, midday events may be an awesome time as well, especially if you're going after like genealogy, family history types of things. So you're going to get a lot of people that are in that baby boomer, have retired, or a more traditional role, already retired, and they're doing time, they've got time on their hands, and they're doing some research about their family. So that's kind of a very important thing to remember. And finally, the last question is how. And so what we're going to do is, if it's okay with you, I'm going to talk through a couple of things to consider. You've already mentioned some of them, but I'm just going to walk you through a couple of the hows that we've learned as we go along, if that's okay. So we've answered this a little bit, is that scanning events we have found are great complementary types of events. Just having a come and scan your photos, unless you're working, we have worked with events in the past where that was the whole purpose, because the actual town was writing a book. We went to the library and people brought all their collection. It was a central point, and their whole purpose was to kind of deal with the actual getting the book done by getting all the resources in the town digitized so that they could make contributions to the book. However, what we did do is we had a what else, because there's always going to be a little downtime and waiting time. So what we did was we had a little presentation that went on, and about every 15 minutes we just kind of talked about keeping your pictures safe, ways to take care of them both physically and digitally, etc. So think about the what else, and you've got a lot of things, so I'm not worried about your what else's right now. Another thing is room layout. It's important that when the room is laid out that you're checking out where the power is and that you've got enough tables to spread things out. It's amazing what people will bring, and it's amazing how quickly you can fill up a table with just a couple of people's stuff. So make sure you have the room laid out in a way that the tables aren't blocking doors, blocking exits, and facilitate, especially in your case, Lisa, you want to facilitate a good flow around the room where people can mix and mingle, but yet still everybody kind of has a designated area. Another one is the people flow, kind of goes along with the room layout. If you get into a room, the best way we like to deal with it is we go into the room ahead of time. It's kind of hard when you go in cold. Even if you're not going to be in the room physically, try to get somebody that's helping you send you a picture of the room from a couple of different angles on your phone. Just have them email it to you or text it over so that you can take a look at that and kind of get an idea how that's going to work. The people flow, the same type of thing. Imagine in your mind's eye, if you can, how people will flow through the room, and you want it to be fairly seamless, and you want it to be intuitive. I think that's kind of the thing. So that means you may want to think about some signage. It doesn't have to be really big, important signage, right? It can just be just little tabletop things like, hey, go over here and see this, go over here and see that. Or in your case, you've got so much going on, I would probably give them a checklist when they walk in the door and say, hey, make sure you see all of these types of things. If you're doing scanning, which is what we're doing here, is you want to make sure that the scanning workflow facilitates itself. Now, we have gone through a whole bunch of different reiterations of our events with scanning, and we are now at the point where we let the people scan their own stuff, and we assist them. The reason why is it allows us to continue to interact with the other guests and the other attendees, and in addition to that, it lets them actually have the fun of doing their own pictures. They love it, especially when you're dealing with like the high volume and high quality picture saver scanners that most of the time are being utilized in these types of events. So we actually let the people sit down and do the work. Now, there's a lot of times people go, you mean I have to do the work? And we go, oh, man, you're going to love it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then they'll go, why? I don't know anything about it. Well, I'm going to show you how easy it is, and you get them started. So we kind of overcome that objection if that's the case. But most people are like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. Because when we were scanning, the reason we started doing it is because people were over our shoulders, Lisa, all the time going, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I finally sat down and said, here, you do it. And then they had a lot of fun, especially if there's kids. if somebody brings their kids, set the kids down and let them scan. They're digital natives already. And the other thing you want to think about as you plan ahead is, what are you going to do after scanning? Now, one of the things that we do is we have, again, gone through the reiterations of trying to burn disks, hand out USBs, whatever. Well, a lot of computers now don't have CDs in them anymore, or DVD drives. When you buy them brand new. So you hand them this disc and they go, great, what am I going to do with it? It's, you know, almost a frisbee to them. USBs can be very expensive. If you can get somebody to donate them, that's great, but then it's the burning time that takes the time. And so what we have gotten to the point, and we've been pretty successful at it, the last event we did about 75,000 pictures this way, and it was awesome, is we actually shared them digitally after the fact, and I'll share with you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So, did that help you a little bit?
That's great information, Rick. I really like the welcome letter idea that you had about everybody getting to see what's going on in the room, and I think it's just a nice way to get them warmed up and to bring them into the room feeling comfortable about what they're going to be seeing that day. So I really like that idea.
So I'm going to just kind of go through here real quick, some real quick tips and tricks, and some things probably that we've learned through the School of Hard Knocks that maybe we can save you from getting knocked around a little bit, if that's okay. First of all, registration. It's important that you register. We do not do an event without actually registering the client in, getting them to sign some paperwork. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But we have to know who they are and allow them to know that we're scanning their pictures or they're scanning them, and kind of push the liability back onto them. Just all these are things that are kind of very important. We also want to make sure that we understand kind of what they have. So that registration process, but here's the thing, right? Everybody comes at one time, which is kind of a pain, or then there's nobody there. So you've got 3 people sitting there to handle the onslaught of people that walk in the door at the 6 o'clock hour. And then after that, they're really busy and then they're not busy. So how do you kind of overcome that? One of the things that we've done, and you've got a great way to deal with it, is we try to stage the registration. So when you can send things out in advance if you're doing any kind of RSVPs, and say, listen, if you're bringing pictures, let me give you this form you can fill out and have it ready to go. If it's on-site registration and you're just going to kind of take who walks in the door, invite them to say, listen, we're backed up here for just a few moments. I'll come get you. Why don't you go enjoy the frame or the preservations or whatever else, or take a look at some of the books that are on display from the library. So, just kind of get them in. The worst thing is you'll turn people away. I've seen this especially in the library. It's a terrible situation because they can go sit and read the newspaper or go do some other area of the library if you have a big long line and they feel like, oh, brother, I'm not going to wait in this line. So try to absorb them into the room and get them going. The other tip and trick that I'll offer you is paperwork. Now, we have a form. That form is available if you're doing an event from Save Your Photos Day. It's available. That's kind of our form. Take a form, paperwork. You want to know everything about that client, or that they're not the client but the attendee, in the event that several things have happened. One is we've opened up a flatbed, and although we tell them and we check and we've done everything, I'm still holding 2 pictures when we did 90,000 at an event one time, and I'm waiting for somebody to call me and tell me I'm waiting for this picture that was in my flatbed that I left there. That event had hundreds of attendees, so we didn't send out a note to them, but we have in the past, if something has happened, sent out a note to say, hey, listen, you had this issue, and we got an email, we got a phone number, we got an address. So we've actually then put stuff in and mailed it off to them, etc. So the paperwork's important. We don't sweat over it. We just say, listen, you're going to be kind of doing your own work, but we just make sure that you understand that you're digitizing. The other reason the paperwork's important is this. You tell people not to copy and make copies of things that they shouldn't. And there's copyright rules and this type of thing that are involved with photos. We want to make sure they understand and that they are acknowledging that they have the right to copy everything, and that if they don't have that right, that they could prove that they had that right at some point, and it's not on us. I mean, you're just providing the service and the equipment. It's kind of important type of thing. The other is photo organization in general. When people come in with their photos, make sure that you give them some sort of bag or container or something to carry them in. I will tell you there is nothing worse, and take it from us, to have 50 people in a room and someone go, well, these aren't my photos. Immediately, the shock factor that, oh my goodness, they don't know what they're doing. They are mixing people's photos up. And then all of a sudden people rushing down, well, where are my photos? Are these my photos? So make sure the way we deal with it is we have a bag. We get these little cheap plastic bags that you can get at the shop market, you know, the clear ones, and we put everything inside that. We also then put the paperwork inside. We scan the paperwork or make them scan the paperwork before they scan any pictures, so we have a digital copy of the paperwork as well. As a photo organizer, if you're doing organization of photos, make sure you have a table set out and help them help themselves. This is not, a photo scanning event is not a time to do total organization of photos. But if you want to have kind of the ABCs and show them, hey, listen, this is what I would do if I were you. Take these and throw these out, do this, organize them by year, date, event. However you want to do it, I don't care. But have a separate place for your photo organization. And that's why we've kind of learned to have that near the scanning, so the people are scanning, you're kind of helping them and giving them organizational tips at the same time. Pre-scanning, make sure that people kind of know ahead of time what's going on. We have a little set of instructions that we offer to people ahead of time, and we kind of have them all gather around and show them all at once as they go through. If you have more than one machine, post-scanning, make sure that everybody has everything before they get up and leave your station, i.e. look if you have a flatbed underneath the platen, or the lid over the platen, to make sure that they picked everything up. Look around, make sure somebody, we've had, you know, we always look underneath where people have been sitting, because they'll drop a photo on the floor and it'll be face down. And then you're like, anybody know who this picture is? And that's not a very confident point when you're running around a room with 25, 30 people in the room going, anybody know whose picture this is? Digital sharing is very important for us, and we've got a tip here in a moment about that. But we do we actually use Dropbox. We batch them all up and put them in Dropbox. We bring them back to the office and actually kind of do a light overview of them post-scanning. So we'll enhance them. If they've got them in crooked, we'll straighten them out. If they've scanned the back and there's nothing there, we'll take off the back and that type of thing. So we'll spend a very quick, we will not restore anything, we won't brighten too much, but we will just make sure that they're in order and that they look good. Then we put them up in the Dropbox and we send them a Dropbox link. You can use a whole bunch of different tools. We've done an event last year. We did the Forever Live event, and we used forever.com to drop them off. You could use all sorts of different tools. You just need to make sure that you have a way to share them digitally. That's very important, because then you can take the back end to do it after the event's over, and you're not worried about, oh, well, where's my USB or where's my CD, etc. And make sure you leave your calling card. So you may be in a library, Lisa, on your event, and they don't want you to have like a whole bunch of open selling and this type of thing. Well, you're going to be contacting all of your clients after the event, because you got to digitally share with them. Well, the first thing they open up in that folder is a business card copy from us, maybe a special coupon from us, more information about some of the services that we do. I mean, the worst thing they can do is throw it away, right? They didn't pay for the scanning, so they got all their pictures scanned, and now you've got your own calling card. But those are the kinds of things that we kind of leave behind, because you want to take advantage of what I call a license to hunt here, and be sure that they know who you are and can come back and get them to you. So I Then a couple of moments going through the unexpected. I won't bore you, but I will tell you there's Suitcase Annie. I heard you say you're going to limit it to 50 pictures. Trust me, you'll find Suitcase Annie, and she brings a whole suitcase with her. I do not discourage Suitcase Annies. I just say, look, if nobody else is scanning, we can scan as long as you want. But when we have somebody else and you've already got your 50 or 100 or whatever you're going to do, we're going to want to make sure that we have time for other people on the event. And because it's free, we actually had one lady that followed us to 5 events in order to get all of her stuff scanned. So she just kept bringing the same suitcase, and eventually she got them all done. But Suitcase Annie, all right? The other is Beyond the Scope Bob. Now, Bob brings in this big old 24 by 36-inch rolled up heritage piece that's from 1865, and you look at it and you go, Bob, this is a treasured piece. By the way, we always use gloves. That is one of the signs. Everybody that's helping with photos, we always use gloves. We let the clients offer them to use them, but we always keep a set of gloves around, and then they all know who is kind of the professionals when you have your gloves. So we unroll it. Bob, is it? And I always ask permission. Bob, is it okay if I take a look at it? Oh man, this is awesome. Tell me about this, Bob. Oh, and Bob will launch into something, how he got this thing. And then you go in and you go, Bob, this is great, but let me tell you, this is really kind of beyond the scope of what we're going to be able to do today. Here is my card. Let's schedule a time that we can talk about how we can help you with this. Do you have anything else, Bob? No, this is all I brought. Okay, fine. Then I'll contact you. Oh, well, yeah, I have these other pictures that, some 4x6, a pack of 4x6. Perfect, Bob, then we're going to go ahead and do this, all right? So that's how we handle Beyond the Scope, Bob. Now we have the no email Grandma Gertrude. And you go through the form, and she's filling it out, and she's got her pictures, and she's all set, and she's ready to go. She's not exactly sure. She just knows 1, it's at the library, 2, it's free, and 3, it's digital. Won't this be cool? I want to send them to my granddaughter or whoever it is, or her daughter or son or whatever. And you say to Grandma, Grandma, can you give us your email address so that we can connect with you for digital, to download the digital pictures? She goes, I don't have an email address. So that's your quick out lie to go, perfect, Grandma. If you don't have an email address, can we get your daughter's email address or somebody else? And you want to kind of quickly pass that off to someone else, all right? Now we've got the gotta have physical media William. And this is the dude or dudette that walks in the place and says, listen, I thought I was going to get everything on a disc. That is, the answer is, we'd love to do that for you. However, here's the point. Here is my card. There is a fee for that, and because we're in the library, I can't really charge you, but if you'd like to contact me afterwards, I'd be happy to make this available for you. The fee is boom. All right? Because there's a physical component to this, right? Either the disc, the USB, however you want it. So just know, William, I'm going to be able to have all your pictures, and we're going to keep them after the event for a few weeks. But just understand that, why don't we deal with that afterwards? Okay, so then when you get to, need the medium William, you say, hey, William, I'm sure you've got everything else backed up. He goes, what are you talking about? And you can launch into why it's important to have somebody to help them do that type of thing. I've got the no-time mollies that roll in the door. I didn't know I have to scan this stuff myself. I thought this was going to be fast. Well, it is. We can scan 1,000 pictures an hour on these photo scanners that we bring, but you got to have some time. Well, if you don't have time, Molly, I'd love to give you my card. Why don't we plan a time to get together and see if we can't help you out? I have a studio, or I can come to you, or whatever. And you'll be surprised how many people go, oh, yeah, give me that card. And take on, and just say, Molly, we've got a lot of other things going on here, so maybe if you want to just kind of circulate around and see. That also works with, I didn't bring my pictures, Sally. And I didn't know we were going to do pictures. You were going to advertise till you're blue in the moon, blue in the face, and then they're going to go, I didn't know we could scan pictures. And so that's the case. Hey, we'd love to help you. Here's the thing. And finally, we have the do what, Frank. And those kinds of guys and gals What you want to be careful about is that you don't get somebody to scanning and say, now what am I supposed to do with this? And you kind of like instructed them like 3 times on what to do. We handle it one way. You can handle it any way you like, but just be prepared. There's the unexpected part of this. To do what Frank's, what you want to do is then come alongside them, sit down with them, and say, here, Frank, let me help you, and just do it. It's going to be way faster and put everybody out of that pain and misery.
Right.
So I hope that those were a little bit about some of the unexpected. I'll share with you a few of the takeaways just to kind of wrap my suggestions up to you. 1, understand by asking questions. Keep everything in perspective. It's kind of interesting. People that get free scanning, if you're doing it for free, have way less expectations. They're just excited about coming and getting it done. So you don't have to prove as much as you think you do. We thought we had to scan everything at, in TIFF at 600 DPI and stuff at the beginning, and we're like, oh, no. We do 300 DPI. It's not the greatest, it's not the quality we do if we did it in our office, but it is a very high quality scan. So, hey, look, they're getting them. It helps us move the client through the system, and we keep it all in perspective. Hey, dude, you didn't pay anything for this. It's free and it's really high quality, so let's go on. Take the strategies. The best defense is a good offense, so plan ahead. And planning ahead means expect the unexpected, and we've kind of gone through about 4 or 5 of those scenarios. One thing I will tell you is do your best not to let them see you sweat. I've alluded to it a couple of times. There's nothing worse than having, and I'll give you some of our bigger events where we'll bring in 10 machines and scan, and we'll be doing tens of thousands of photos, and someone go and say, I don't know what to do with it. And they have white gloves on from your team, or I have no clue, or have you guys seen those pictures I was scanning just a minute ago? All of those types of things. So don't let them see you sweat. Kind of have some code words, some safety words set up, and say, hey, I need to see you. And if you have to have a consultation, go over in the corner and do it. Be creative with your license to hunt. Man, put all sorts of things in there. Put brochures, coupons. Just have fun with that. That's your time. Hey, look, it's only little digital bits and bytes that you're adding to their folder, and the worst thing they're going to do is throw it away, and the best thing is they're going to pick up the phone and call you and help you. And the last takeaway that I would offer you is to just go and have fun. You got to think about all the fun things that you're doing, how you're helping to preserve, and all the treasured memories that you are helping to create a digital copy for, that they can then go on to tell their stories about them. So, what do you think?
Great stuff, Rick. Thank you so much. Your time is so appreciated. I really loved everything that we talked about. I'm feverishly taking great notes here, and I'm really going to put a lot of this into practice.